I'm Mark Golub, sitting in for the vacationing Tisha Bader with today's Shalom TV News Update. The Civil Rights Office of the U.S. Department of Education is investigating allegations of anti-Semitism at the University of California, Berkeley. According to a report from the Los Angeles Times, 2 recent graduates are charging that campus officials allowed a hostile campus environment for Jewish students to continue by not stopping anti-Israel protests on campus. The students say this violated Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which was extended in 2010 to protect Jewish students from campus anti-Semitism. The charges were actually filed this past July and referred specifically to an event called Apartheid Week, held on the California Berkeley campus every February. The students claim the event led to an increase in anti-Semitic hate speech, which is now being investigated by the U.S. Department of Education. The JTA reports that a Jewish and a Christian group are placing ads in New York City subways urging tolerance. The ad is in response to a controversial ad that was recently placed in subways calling on Americans to support Israel and defeat jihadists, whom the ad referred to as savages. That ad was sponsored by Pamela Geller, the founder and executive director of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, and reads, "In any war between civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man. Support Israel, defeat jihad." Geller also wants the subway system in Washington, D.C. to run the same ad, but the D.C. Metro Transit System has resisted posting it, arguing that the ad could possibly incite violence in light of the recent rioting across the Middle East and North Africa, allegedly in response to an anti-Muslim film. However, a U.S. district judge in Washington ruled last week that the Geller ad must be allowed to run on the basis of America's First Amendment principle of free speech. The new ads in rebuttal are being placed by Rabbis for Human Rights of North America and by Sojourners, an organization started by Christian author and social justice advocate Jim Wallace. Their ad reads, "In the choice between love and hate, choose love. Help stop bigotry against our Muslim neighbors. Love your Muslim neighbors." The New York Times reported that these ads will be hung near the anti-jihad ads in the same New York City subway stations. In New York City, the New York Post has published an explosive report showing that many New York City museums, particularly the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, are in possession of Jewish artwork that was taken by the Nazis. According to the Post, some 650,000 pieces of art were seized from Jewish families between 1933 and 1945, including masterpieces by Picasso, Matisse, Chagall, and Van Gogh. In some instances, Nazi officials sold the artwork and simply kept the profits. For nearly 20 years, a group of more than 40 countries, including the United States, have had guidelines for identifying how to return those art pieces which were stolen. The MoMA launched its own effort in 2001 and identified some 800 pieces, but claims it has adequate documentation to prove that the art was not stolen by the Nazis. However, MoMA's website lists one of its paintings by André Derain, which was sold by the Nazi government and purchased by the museum in 1939 at a gallery owned by a Nazi agent. Another example, which seems to contradict the MoMA's position, is a painting entitled "The Poet Max Hermann Nies," a George Grosz painting currently hanging in MoMA's European Painting Gallery. Grosz was a German expressionist painter and a critic of Hitler. MoMA bought the painting from a man authorized by the Nazis to sell German art abroad, and the Graz family sued the MoMA for the return of this and two other Graz paintings. But the museum prevailed by arguing that the 3-year statute of limitations to bring a claim had expired. Other museums are in similar situations. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has identified 500 works which were allegedly in Europe during the Nazi era. Thus far, the Met has only settled 5 claims and returned 6 pieces. The Brooklyn Museum found 200 pieces tied to the Nazi era, but said it has not received any claims and has not returned any works. And the Jewish Museum, with 275 paintings dating back to World War II, also said it has not received any claims. Well, it's a well-known Jewish trait. The Jews feel a personal sense of responsibility anytime a Jew does something wrong. And Jews feel a sense of personal pride when a Jew is recognized for making a contribution to the world. And happily, it's a sense of pride many Jews are feeling today as another Jew is awarded a Nobel Prize. Serge Haroche, a French Jew from Morocco, has been awarded the 2012 Nobel Prize for Physics for his work on quantum systems, along with his colleague David Wineland of the United States. Haroche and Wineland have developed a procedure regarding the microscopic world of photons and ions, which up till now has only been scientific theory. The 68-year-old Haroche, who gave a series of lectures on quantum physics at Israel's Technion last year, will share a $1.2 million prize from the Nobel Prize Committee. And that's Shalom TV's news update for today. I'm Mark Golub. Be well, my friends.